3, 2, 1. What up, my glip glops? Oh, wait, I can't say that on this channel. Whoops.
Wow.
Yeah, we're starting like that.
Great, Shadow. Great.
You're welcome.
Hey everyone. How's it going?
We are back for another weekly episode of Stream Soda. And this week, it's
The journey continues,
the journey
as
continues.
Pokemon would say.
I was trying to think of something.
Mhm.
But yeah, as with all of our pre-streams, feel free to ask us questions while everyone gets here before the main discussion starts, and we'll be happy to answer them until 4
Yeah.
o'clock. So
And just as a note, the Q&A doesn't have a hard start time, just so everyone knows. It's
yeah.
roughly 15 minutes before we go live, but you know, it's a pre-show for a reason. As we get things settled out, sorted out.
Yep. And let me know if the audio levels are good, as always. Just to make sure that the main discussion can be heard okay.
Let's see. What is hang on. From Dante Bazea, why do you think some people still think cartoons are just for kids? When it comes to live action stuff, people know that some are kids and some are for adults. Honestly, I feel like that mindset has died a lot in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. Like compared to how especially I remember when this was like a huge thing on the
Oh
internet in
yeah.
like the early 2010s. Like everyone was making videos about it. I remember. But yeah, no, I agree. I haven't heard it nearly as
I
much.
think that
I
the
mean,
difference is now, like, there's always going to be a subset of people who just don't care about animation because they think it's for
mhm,
kids. Like, I feel like the people that are like adamantly like angry that adults are watching cartoons has gone away for the most part. But in
yeah.
terms of like the stigma of cartoons are for kids, honestly, I think it's just because in general they still are aimed at kids. There's plenty of adult shows, but by and large, the percentage is way more for kid shows. Um,
Yeah. I think another thing that helps is the fact that the acceptance of nerd culture has
mm,
flourished in the
yep.
past decade. Like, not just with animation, but like Marvel and Star Wars have a big part of that. Like, Disney has managed to make, those properties get seen in a newer light, where like before the 2010s, when, anyone who's into Star Wars, I mean, it was still pop culture, don't get me wrong, but if you were too into Star Wars, you were seen as like a total nerd, and like everyone looked at it negatively. Whereas now, like with those big blockbusters and Pokemon and video games and animation, like all of it just kind of has been allowed to thrive through the internet. So a lot of people are more appreciative, and it's not looked down upon as much because of how much more mainstream
Mm-hmm.
it is. So I think that was definitely a big variable that helped as well.
Right. But I think, yeah, I mean, and even if things start to change, right, where let's say, I mean, Adult Swim's very popular, right? Family Guy,
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons, super popular cartoons. Rick and
Yeah.
Morty, South Park. Like, even if things suddenly finger snap tomorrow and like 50% of all cartoons were made and aimed at adults, there's still decades and decades of history of cartoons being made exclusively for kids, barring, your
Yes.
very rare examples. So even if
Mm-hmm.
things change overnight, and they won't, I think things are slowly heading there. But even if things change, there's just this preconceived notion or this history that is not going to die out immediately, you know? Um,
Yeah, it takes
yeah.
time. Yep.
So I think
Oh
we're getting
yes,
there.
the animation culture. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Um, Other than a lack of post game, why do you hate Pokemon X and Y? I
Well,
don't.
that is not my main reason. I personally don't hate X and Y, but I've only ever played it once and I haven't touched it since then. So there's probably a good reason for that, and that's it just didn't grip me. I didn't find any of the characters very compelling. The villain was one of the most boring, flat, and obvious villains the series has ever had. None of the new Pokemon, aside from like, I don't know, I guess I like Greninja and Delphox. I know, the starters tend to be popular, but other than that, there weren't many new Pokemon from Gen 6 that I really cared for. Mega Evolution's like the only thing I really appreciate from that generation. And the map, the region didn't really impress me either. So I don't know. It wasn't a bad game, but just compared to other generations, I don't feel like it really has a lot to offer outside of Mega Evolution.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just a comparison with other Pokemon games. Not strictly that it's an awful game on its own, but um, you can go back and play any Pokemon game. Why would I go back to the one that constantly? I mean, so many of them do hold your hand, but like, I just don't care about any of the friends that are dominant in the early game. And then in the late game, there just isn't a lot to do. So I think those two combined with not a ton of new Pokemon, which I still think is a good thing overall, but just doesn't make it the most interesting thing. I wouldn't say I hate X and Y. I would say it's probably my least favorite of the main games that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, Dylan, if X and Y is your first Pokemon game, not surprised that you love it. Like because I do think that most of the criticisms are based around the fact that this is the sixth, well, technically not even the sixth generation, like not the sixth iteration, because there's still like the third versions and everything. If you count all that, it's probably like the 11th version. But you know, it's after a long line of games that came before it, and although it innovated in some ways, like with Fairy types, Mega Evolutions, in a lot of other ways, it felt like almost like a stripped down version of other things that came before it.
Yeah. Let's see. Thoughts on the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy? I rewatched Spider-Man 3 and I'm rewatching the first movie today, and TBH, I think this might be my new favorite trilogy. I really loved the Sam Raimi trilogy, actually. That was before like the whole superhero business really dominated the film market. But yeah, no, I've always had a soft spot for the Sam Raimi trilogy. I remember watching the first movie with my family and friends in my living room, and it just like it hooked me immediately. And Spider-Man 2 is one of my all-time favorite superhero movies. Like even by today's standards, I still love Spider-Man 2. I liked Spider-Man 3 when I was younger, but then when I got older and I actually like looked at film with a more analytical eye, I don't really like it much anymore. But as a whole, no, I do appreciate the Raimi trilogy. I like them a lot.
I haven't seen them in ages. Like I loved them at the time, but I can't. I know they're a big victim of things that may or may not hold up. You know what I mean? Like they're a product of the time. So although I can say I enjoyed it then, I have no idea if I would enjoy it now.
Yeah. They're cheesy for sure. That is definitely not.
Pete of Ton asked, I want a 6-month subscription to Quibi. Should I use it? Honestly, no. I haven't said this, but my my password got like hacked or leaked or something from Quibi. I got an email from Quibi saying, "Hey, someone's trying to log in, or someone logged into your account from a strange location," or like it said something. And so basically I had to re-download Quibi. I had deleted the app. I had to re-download it to change the password and make sure everything was secure. Make sure I didn't have any credit cards or anything linked to it, which I didn't. So and now a cynical part of me says that they probably weren't even breached. It probably is just Quibi just saying something like that to get me to re-download it. I know that's like a real conspiracy theory type thing, but like I had deleted the app. I mean, yeah, it did get me to download it again. But yeah, no, not only is Quibi a mess in so many ways, but it might also not be safe. So
hey, there you go. That's one less reason to want to get it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to get started here in a moment. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them on the Discord, on Shadow's Discord. And we'll probably get to them next week. We didn't look at the Discord questions this week, but we'll probably do it next week.
No. Yeah.
You guys had some good questions this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
actually,
what?
There is one question on the Discord that's actually a good segue,
Sure.
so I think we can ask this one. Have you ever watched any of the Pokemon movies?
Oh, yeah. I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah. Right. My first Pokemon movie was Pokemon 2000 actually. I saw
Oh,
2000 before the first movie. 2000 is my favorite.
I mean,
and it's a lot of
yeah.
people's favorite, so it is really good. But I like Pokemon. What I like the first four, I guess. And then I haven't seen like Heroes in a long time. Jirachi Wishmaker, I remember liking. Destiny Deoxys, I liked, and then I haven't seen like Darkrai Giratina or Temple of the Sea or any of that other stuff in a long time since since it aired on Cartoon Network, really.
Yeah, I can tell you that the Pokemon movies are not ones that you really want to marathon. Like, because there's so many of them are very similar to each other. Yeah, I like the first three. The third one is technically the best. The second one is probably the one I have the most nostalgia for. I've seen some of the later ones. Some of them are good, but they kind of blend together a little.
Yeah. I remember really liking Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. I actually like that one
Relevant.
a lot. It might just be because of the Reggies, but I don't know. I remember liking that one. That one stood out to me. It also had Weavile in it, and Weavile is one of my favorite dark types.
I also watched the I Choose You movie, the CG one.
That one that
and
came
I talked about it
yeah.
on some episode of the recast. I cannot tell you. We might end up talking about it here even at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about part 2 of Pokemon Journeys. If you don't know, Netflix has obtained the rights to Pokemon in the West after Disney lost them, after Cartoon Network lost them.
Yep.
After WB and Cartoon Network are the same thing, but like, yeah. Anyway, point being, even though it's not a streaming original globally, in the West anyway, Pokemon is now a streaming original. We talked about part 1, which is the first 12 episodes, although I don't think we talked about all 12. I think we talked about like 8 something.
Yeah, I think we talked about the first 8.
Anyway, we talked about that a few months ago, and here it is, I guess 3 months later, and there's part 2 out. Basically, they're releasing them 12 episodes at a time every 3 months, which equates to 1 episode a week, but isn't. Just a drop.
Yeah.
Weird release strategy, in my opinion. And it seems kind of arbitrary, too. I would argue that the first episode of part 2 would have been a better stopping point for part 1, personally. But I don't think they planned it out. I think it's just literally, well, let's just drop 12 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we are. Shadow and I are both pretty big Pokemon fans. And
yeah, I mean, I just got back from doing the Pokemon Go Community Day, so
yeah, happy Porygon Day, everyone.
Yeah, go get your Porygon. You have a couple hours depending on where you live.
And of course,
but listen to the stream first.
Of course, this is the dubbed version. I'm not big on subs personally. I completely agree with people that they are, like, I guess they're technically better in the sense that they usually tend to be a little more mature and less clunky than dubs. But the way I watch TV, I don't always have my eyes glued to the television. So I just can't do subs personally. No hate on people who do subs or dubs personally. Yeah, but of course the subs are way ahead of this, so no spoilers for anything past episode 24.
Yep.
And of course this time we did watch all 12 episodes, and we're gonna do what we've been doing the past few weeks, where we kind of just talk a little bit about each episode. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and get started with the first episode, which is technically a part 2, as Pi mentioned, of the last episode. So
I had mentioned something in the last stream about Ash not having a goal, like his goal being the nebulous Pokemon Master. And someone had told me that he gets a goal in episode 12, but that's not true. He gets a goal in episode 13, which is the first episode of part 2, which is kind of clunky. So, part 1 ends with their Go and Ash are in the Galar region. And there's a Gigantamaxed red knob.
Yeah, so yeah, it's weird. So I went ahead and caught up on the first part of part 1, so I saw those last episodes that I didn't. So like, it was cool seeing the battle between Leon and Lance. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, basically this Dreadnought comes in. It's Gigantamax to kind of tie in with Sword and Shield again. And this first episode is Ash and Go trying to figure out how to stop it. And we get Gigantamax Thick Boy Pikachu, which is pretty dope. And yeah, it felt weird, I guess. I mean, I'm sure it'd be weirder for you since you're kind of coming back to this because you didn't.
No, I watched all 12 back 3 months ago. So yeah, I didn't really remember where the last episode left off. Like, I don't know if Dreadnought Gigantamaxed in the previous episode or. Okay.
It did, yeah. It like broke through the stadium and everyone was freaking out, and then it kind of just ended right after that.
Yeah.
So we just kind of picked right back up there. So for me, it was kind of like a seamless transition, but I was like,
it's clunky.
It seems like a really weird. Yeah, it seems really clunky for them to just kind of cut it there. Like, I get for me, it was probably one of two things. Either the whole series is like an even number of episodes divisible by 12, or they thought it would be a good cliffhanger for people to want to come back.
I think it might have had to do with just dubbing lead time. Like, it might take them 3 months to dub 12 episodes and get it, localize it and get it all ready. And that's just what they decided on from a production standpoint before even knowing, like, where episodes break.
Yeah, that's possible.
But it's also awkward because I get Netflix's thing is to drop, clunches. That's not a word. Clumps of episodes at a time. That's my favorite Pokemon, Clunches. To drop these clumps at a time, but they don't always do it. Sometimes they do things week by week, and I feel like Pokemon would probably make more sense week to week because although there are ongoing storylines, they aren't naturally fit into these 12 episode arcs at all. So I think this probably would have been better done week to week, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, it definitely is like some big action to kind of get you back into the show. Maybe it was done intentionally to make sure people come back 3 months later, but I feel like that's also awkward too because it's like, it's not like a yearly thing where they do like a huge promotion for it, and it's not a weekly thing where people are regularly tuning in, so I could see people not even realizing, oh, hey, more episodes are out, Yeah. I don't know, little weird on that. But anyway, as far as the episode goes, it's all right. They definitely pull a lot of cheats in terms of Pikachu, Pokeball. Yep. So I didn't know this, but apparently Gigantamaxing involves recalling your Pokemon and then like supersizing the Pokeball and throwing it back out there, and boom, it's Gigantamax. Pikachu don't like Pokeballs though, so
Pikachu don't like Pokeballs, so
instead, at first he can just Gigantamax because of fissures in the ground, which like, okay, I feel like if there are fissures in the ground that can just cause any Pokemon to become gigantic, this would just be like an unsustainable region. Like, how are towns not constantly crushed by these giant Pokemon that just randomly appear? Like, I don't know.
Can we talk about the stupidity of Ash telling Pikachu to use Iron Tail? Okay, I get it was supposed to be funny, but I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, oh, and he does it. I think he does it like more than once too, which drives me
this
up
whole
the wall.
season.
I'm like, what are you doing, Ash? Just use Thunderbolt or something. Like, use a long range attack. Come on, dude.
Well, it's not as bad as the Golurk episode.
No, you're not wrong.
We'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This episode has Leon, and Leon definitely seems to be pretty cool. Like, I know a lot of people who played the games talked about how they kind of like wish they had more time with Leon because he seems like a cool character. And he definitely gives off like a vibe of like just being like out of Ash's league. Ash basically has a crush on him in the episode, like to the point where he's zoning out over the idea of battling him again. But yeah, no, he's pretty cool. It's cool that it's inevitable that Pikachu was gonna Gigantamax. Like in this series, it was just a foregone conclusion. I kind of wish it was a little more climactic. It definitely is a little more epic with the Z moves in Sun and Moon, like especially because they can get new Z moves that Ash's Pokemon can use and stuff. Whereas this is just like Ash just kind of stumbles backwards into Gigantamax it, like. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a thing that he earns or anything. Leon's just like, oh, here, have an armband. Like, and then it never comes up the rest of the rest of these.
Yeah, no, there was no more after this. That was the other thing I wanted to mention is like even if this is supposed to be like a setup for the second part, it doesn't. I mean, there's like one thing, and that's Ash's new goal.
Yeah.
But like in terms of Gigantamaxing and that whole aspect, that's gone.
I'm sure
No
it'll show up
more.
again in the season, but like
So,
it
yeah.
really is just kind of like a weird. It feels like a weird one. It almost feels like an anime thing. Like it's not based on
Mhm.
some big epic selling mechanic of the games. Whereas I feel like maybe a little more attention should have gone into it. I personally prefer the episode with the Gigantamax Snorlax in season 1, but yeah, I mean it's all right. It's got some
Mhm.
Gigantamax battling, Dynamax battling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tunjay, just to clarify what I mean by the Iron Tail thing, I'm not like talking about the fact that Pikachu can use Iron Tail. I know that. I'm saying he told his giant thick boy Pikachu to run over to the Dreadnought, not paying any attention to any of his surroundings or the fact that Pikachu could cause any massive damage. And he's just like, yeah, go slap it with your tail. Like, I don't know. I just think he could have been way smarter. But then again, this is Ash, so
Yeah.
yeah. But
I'll
no,
also say the design of Gigantamax Pikachu is like, and I.
it's just thick boy.
But
Pikachu.
he doesn't even come off as like much thicker. It just literally looks like here's big Pikachu. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's definitely probably one of the least creative of all the Galarian forms. Like at least Charizard gets this like sick fire burning out of him, and I guess Meowth gets long.
And like, hey, I get that Pikachu doesn't, he doesn't like the Pokeball. It's like a big thing. It's a known thing. But like, if you have this mechanic, right, and they don't hand wave it away. I don't know how it is in the games, but in the anime, explicitly, you have to recall the Pokemon, grow the ball giant, and throw it. What they could have done is made it like, I don't know, an actual story, like Ash being like, well, Pikachu, I want you to be able to do this, but I don't want to make you go in the ball. Like there could be a conflict, or
Yeah,
and maybe they find some workaround, but instead it's literally like, it's like an armband that like a sweatband, like that's what he wears, and then like just some pink energy comes out of it, like we're Power Rangers, and then Big Boy Pikachu. It's the weirdest thing. I for something that I feel like should be a really epic moment in the anime version of Sword and Shield, which is what this is. Like, it's so unceremonial.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like it was a very underwhelming start to the whole part 2 thing.
But yeah, I'm glad Ash has a goal. I feel like that was a good thing to give him a short-term goal, because Pokemon Master is just nebulous. It doesn't, like we talked about last time, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means so much, or it could mean anything, that it just, it doesn't matter, right? Like,
like Ash can literally do whatever he wants with that, because it's like what defines a master,
right?
Like, in the original runs, it's like, oh, you got to beat the Pokemon League, but with this show, there's not really, like he wasn't going after gyms prior to this, and like, he wasn't trying to get all the badges or catch every Pokemon. Go's been trying to catch every Pokemon.
What I like, and what I like about this is that it's different from just a straight up tournament. I mean, all Pokemon series before this, including Sun and Moon, like end in a tournament. like it's like, oh, well, he's got to do the tournament. But in this case, and I mean, I'm sure this will end in a tournament, but I like the idea that in various episodes, Ash can battle trainers, and that contributes to his overall goal of ending up in the tournament. Versus, well, there's 8 gym badges, so there's only ever going to be like 8, or maybe like, if they're 2-parters, like 16 episodes in like the 300 episode series, where Ash is actually making real tangible progress towards his goal of champion in the region. Whereas with this, they can throw a trainer at Ash whenever, and it doesn't feel like, oh, it's just a random battle for no reason. It feels like Ash is actually making progress in the same way that Go makes progress in almost every episode.
Yeah, catching stuff. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hoenn didn't technically end a tournament, sure. But, like, it's still... Basically, the ending is always just, like... I don't know. I like the fact that Ash can make progress that's not just badges. I think that's... It makes sense.
Yeah, because because in the anime, like the games, you can measure experience and
Mhm.
whatnot by battling wild Pokemon and trainers, but the anime, like you don't really have a good measure of where his Pokemon's experience levels are. That's a lot harder to do, and there's definitely a lot more leeway in the way that the anime handles battles versus the games. So any random trainer battle in the anime doesn't feel like he's going anywhere, and it's
And the
really
stakes,
only, as Pi said, the
yeah, the stakes are
leaders
low, right?
that
If he
matter.
loses
Yeah,
against,
exactly.
some random bug catcher in Viridian Far, like, okay, like, you know,
Okay. Like,
Ash will shake his hand and be like, "We'll see you guys next time. Don't
mhm.
be a stranger." And then he never
Yeah,
shows
it's
up
not
again.
like when he loses to Brock the first time, that actually like means
Right.
something because this is like his first
It's an
major step
obstacle.
into getting into the Pokemon League. He can't move on. He cannot progress until he beats Brock. And like I love that episode for like introducing that conflict. I think the resolution's kind of cheaty. Sprinkler systems don't work that way, but
Mhm.
you know. But no, I appreciate what that does in terms of making Ash grow as a character. But yeah, as Pi is saying, like a random trainer battle doesn't really do much. And if I were to ever go back and rewatch the anime, I'd probably only watch episodes where Ash either defeats a gym leader or catches a Pokemon that adds to his
Mhm.
team or evolves or something like
It's
that.
it's
But
not it's
yeah.
not much, but the fact that Go catches Pokemon in most episodes, and the fact that Ash is doing these battles across the episodes, does make every most episodes feel not entirely fillery. You could still argue they're fillery
Mm-hmm.
because there's not really much else that progresses, or like it's whatever. But at least that small sense of progress kind of seeks to tie the series together a little bit in a way that I don't feel like other seasons had that cohesion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so moving on to the second episode, Raid Battle in the Ruins. So we're
Oh yeah, it's a raid battle.
in Unova. um,
Yeah.
so basically, Ash and go to the desert resort, and like meet a few various trainers. Like there's an Indiana Jones girl, there's a shiny
Mm-hmm.
hunting guy, and there's
Yeah, I like
there's
that.
like a ruin maniac guy, um,
Mm-hmm.
or a hiker or whatever his model was supposed to be designed on. I think it's based on some trainer class in the game.
I think it's the
Ruin
Ruin
maniac. Okay,
Maniac or whatever, because I know those are definitely a thing in Hoenn
that
and
would make
Unova.
sense. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this episode was cool. I liked seeing these other characters, and I kind of hope that they're recurring characters. I don't know that they will be, but like I like the
Mm-hmm.
idea of like there's just like some adventurers, and when Go and Ash end up in like adventure places, oh, they might just so happen to run into them. Like I like that idea. Not every episode, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. I like the guy that wants to catch only shiny Pokemon. That's cool.
Yeah, he was my favorite part. I love that they actually like because I don't know if like X and Y or Sun and Moon did that at all or like, actually acknowledge the whole shiny collecting thing. But like seeing him, I was like, yeah, that's definitely a subsection of the Pokemon fan
Mm-hmm.
base right there.
Well,
So I
I
love
feel like
that.
there's been a real effort to make this series in particular actually relate to like real experiences playing Pokemon. The idea
Mm-hmm.
of catching 3 Wurmple and having them all evolve into the same Pokemon when you need the other variant because it's completely random. That's just like a
Yeah.
real, you know what I mean? Like that's a real moment in playing Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. It's always cool to tie those things in. Um, and
Yeah, and I mean this has the whole raid battle aspect from Pokemon Go,
Mhm.
which anyone who plays that definitely relates to that. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
like that Go it's just like, wow, it's not that many shiny Pokemon. And the guy has like 6. Like it's
Yeah.
still more than is like you just run into. You got to hunt pretty hard. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon were real, imagine like there's no, in the games there are ways to increase your chances of catching a shiny Pokemon.
Yeah,
But
chaining.
in if Pokemon were real, there's no chance. Like it's just chance. You have no way of like, you know, effectively forcing
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think he did a good job. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, this episode I thought was pretty fun. I liked the location. It's a little goofy. Like Ash and Go keep stepping on traps. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like an interesting thing. And I didn't know what the Pokemon at the end of the tunnel was going to be until the commercial break.
Yeah, that gave it away for me too.
So what I like about it is that the temple has these symbols, right? And I'm sure if you're like a Pokemon obsessive, right, or if Golurk is your favorite Pokemon, you'd recognize, wow, that's a symbol of Golurk. But for me, I'm not like so into Pokemon that I have every single design detail memorized. So I liked that idea that like it hinted at what was at the end, but it wasn't like, this is Golurk Temple. What's gonna be at the end of it? Like,
Yeah.
but then when you do the Who's That Pokemon in the commercial break, it just shows you that it's Golurk. Why did they
It's
do
like,
that?
oh,
Like,
thank you. Why couldn't they have done shiny Psyduck or
mhm,
something?
mhm.
Or even the Cough of Grigus.
Yeah.
Something
Mhm.
else. But yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But otherwise, this was fun. I mean, the raid battle was kind of cool. I feel like this could have been a two-parter. Like, what was up with the gold at the end? Like, they're like, hey, here's an ancient city, and then Ash and Go home. We don't really get to see, like, what, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that seemed a little random. I don't know if that needed to necessarily be there. I feel like the Golurk was enough of a find, I guess.
Also, I'm surprised Go doesn't use that Golurk, because that thing seems powerful. And it's weird because it's a raid battle, but it's not Gigantamax. It's just a naturally big Golurk. Is it just a retcon that every Pokemon that's just like naturally big needs to be a raid battle now, or is that
I mean,
effort
there's
to tie it in more with Sword and Shield, even though it's like not related?
Yeah, see, because I know in Pokemon Go, like when you do a raid battle, the raid Pokemon are large. They're represented larger in the game. So I don't know if that was kind of like the anime's way of portraying that, but it also doesn't shrink down once the raid battle ends. So I don't know. But I know that like Pokemon obviously, and they've acknowledged it before, they have size variants. And there's another episode that has like a really big Magikarp, for example.
Yeah.
So that is like a factor in the games, but I'm not sure if that was what was being represented or if they were trying to go for the whole raid thing and making it huge that way.
Yeah. So. It's also a little weird in the sense that, like, I guess in raid battle, just whoever catches the Pokemon first gets it. Like, there's no etiquette, apparently, because some of the other people there wanted to catch that Golurk, and Go was like, no, it's mine.
No,
I mean, granted, Go did most of the work. I'll give it that. Go and Ash did. But, like, it's just like, yoink. I don't know, like, how would that work in real life? Like, you'd have to agree beforehand, like, okay, Shadow, me and you will help take this thing down, and I'll let you catch this one, and I'll catch the next one. Like, you can't just...
Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah, and then, like, especially if you're, like, with, like, there's just other random strangers that just hop in to help, it's like, well, ooh, this is awkward.
I mean, this dude was, like, researching this place, right? The one guy was researching the place, the adventurer taught them even how to get into the temple, because these dummies didn't know how to fly. They were just trying to walk on the hot sand. And then, and then there's, I guess the shiny guy didn't care. But, like, there's other people there, I mean, you could ask, but whatever. He's Go.
The shiny guy did have a shiny Bagon, so, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
I'm envious of that. Although I think I have one in Go, actually. I'm not sure.
But yeah, I thought this episode was fun. It's a running joke that characters keep using, moves that Golurk is immune to. And I guess it works. Like, it's because he's Ghost Ground, which means he's immune to electric, fighting, and normal. And it naturally comes up when Pikachu uses electric moves, and Go's Pokemon has both normal and fighting moves. So I don't know. It wasn't too groan worthy, I wouldn't say, because it seemed more like they didn't really know what was super effective like what would work against the Golurk versus just like not knowing. I don't know, but. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we can move on to episode number 3 of part 2.
A snow day for searching.
Yeah, so this episode kind of features Go returning home to his family. We get to meet Go's grandmother, and he's going back home to Vermilion City, I think it is, or is that where they were leaving from? I forget.
No, they're
I forget
leaving
where
from
he
Vermilion
lives.
City. Yeah, I don't remember which city.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember where he lives, but he goes back to find his family, and then Ash notices that he leaves something behind, so Ash goes to catch up with him, and then there's this Cubone that is missing its bone, and they have to help Cubone find his bone. So that's what they do.
Yeah, I wasn't really into this episode.
No, this one didn't do anything for me.
Because what you would want out of an episode like this is kind of like character development or backstory for Go. And you do get it, but it's like his parents worked a lot.
Mhm.
He didn't have many friends, and he sat in front of the computer. I don't,
He's Chris Thorndike from Sonic
it
X.
didn't like
I had to do it.
it didn't
Sorry.
inform his character really. Like it wasn't like, oh, that's why he's the way it was. And it's so clunky too
Mhm.
because it's like his parents are just casually discussing how negligent they were with him. Like also, can I point out that whatever city they live in, they're living in an apartment when both his parents work in like what was it, like computer engineering? Like
Something like
they
that.
write programs that save lives or so, like they're in some sort of tech field, right? They're both work and they live in an apartment with Go's grandmother. Like, guys, come on, get a condo at least. Is I don't know, what's the tax rate in Kanto?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just saving a ton of money that way.
I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
mean, I guess Go's computer didn't look cheap. Uh,
Mhm.
or maybe it did. I don't know. It basically just had like 9 monitors. That doesn't necessarily mean the computer's powerful. Like, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it's just an episode where a Cubone gets bullied by some Mankey, and then the Mankey get beat up.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically not filler because Go catches what, the Cubone, I think.
Mhm. Yep.
But as far as interesting story, I just don't think this is that. I think you need to have. I like the idea of like, Go having to go home and see his parents and like finding out more about them, but it really is just like it's the thing that I don't like about the anime sometimes, in that it's so, I guess, childishly simple about like the way
Mhm.
characters are. It's not like his parents are like, well, we worked hard, and Go's upset because he feels neglected. It's like, no, they're just casually talking about like, well, we worked so much, I feel bad about it. And it's like, who talks like this? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. Oh, so Go lives
Mhm.
in Vermilion. In the lab is in Vermilion. Okay. This also made me think of something, and if someone knows the answer, let me know. What does Ash's mom do? Does she work? Like, I want to say she's a homemaker, but she sent her 10-year-old son out in the world and had a Mr. Mime made. Like, what does she do? She doesn't even take care of the
I
house.
I've never
Right?
known what Ash's mom does, like
Like, what
ever.
does she do for work? I guess Ash's mysterious, non-existent dad just sends money.
I-
I,
Maybe Professor Oak. Maybe Professor Oak's doing something. I
I
don't
mean, there's
know.
nothing. Hey, being a stay-at-home mom or taking care of the house, like those are legitimate things to do with your life. But like, you can't be a stay-at-home mom if you send your kid out into the world at 10. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how that works. She's dating Professor Oak. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe Professor Oak's like in the equation.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's a little interesting. I don't know. But she has a house. But Ghost parents live in an apartment.
Logic.
Yeah. Also, imagine like poor Ash's mom, who he's like, "Hey, mom, I'm gonna come home for when for holiday or for snow day," and then he just doesn't.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sad.
I don't know. All right. Well, maybe she's now finally taking care of the house now that Mr. Mime's out of the way. I don't know. That is true. Her house is in a more rural area. Maybe Vermilion is more equal to like Tokyo or New York City or something.
Mm.
But yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's not really anything else to say. As far as the thing is, the episode feels like very light on Pokemon content, right? It's more of like
Yeah.
character drama, even though there really isn't any, because Go doesn't feel bad that his parents weren't there. He's just like, wow, they work really hard. Like, there's no drama, there's no conflict. The conflict is he forgets his present. Uh-oh, but Ash is there to save him. And as far as the Pokemon element, it's literally 3 Mankey steal a Cubone's bone, and Go helps them find it.
Yep.
Also, can I
That's
tell you
it.
how horrifying Firo's voice is in this show? Like, did you notice that?
Yeah. It's
like, oh, I don't know why, but I don't know if they do this after Kanto, but at least in Kanto, some of the Pokemon have these bizarre, like, most of them say their name, but but then you have like,
yeah.
weird. Okay, and anyway, moving along to A Chilling Curse. which is technically a sequel to the episode Best Friend Worst Nightmare from part 1,
Yep.
in which Gengar comes back, and he's haunting the lab again.
Back to the lab again.
Uh-oh.
Back to the lab.
But then
again.
we find out
we
find out that he had a trainer who didn't want him, and that's sad. And then
Charmander.
right, and then we get Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically it does kind of start off very similar to the other one where Gengar's just messing stuff up around the lab, and then he starts haunting Ash in particular, and there's all this stuff about like him being cursed. Like Gengar puts a curse on him, which like curse is a move. I don't know if they're actually equating it to that move. This episode's weird. I thought maybe there was some Japanese yokai thing that I was missing, that there's like some cultural thing. But I didn't really get it because like, so Ash is haunted by the Gengar, and then he conveniently runs into the one guy that was also wait, not just talking about luck and curses, just so happens to be talking about that, but then also just so happens to be Gengar's previous owner. Like, what are the odds of that? I mean, I know it's a Pokemon story, but it feels really like convenient.
What a coincidence. Yeah, that was the exact reaction I had, was just like, wow, this is really that's such a coincidence. I don't know. I feel like to compare it to the Charmander episode, because it's about the same concept of a trainer abandoning its Pokemon. I felt like the Charmander episode
much sadder.
A lot better. Yeah, it was definitely way more depressing, especially because that Charmander was on like the brink of death in the episode where its flame tail was about to go out. And you actually see the previous trainer, like, unlike this episode where the trainer just cast it away, the previous trainer like tries to get it back. Like, he's that much of a
verbally
scumbag
abusive.
about it.
Like he.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy, so what's not really clear is that his Gengar's previous owner was also like haunted. Like he was unlucky because of Gengar, and it's kind of unclear as to if Gengar is intentionally doing this, or if it's an unconscious thing Gengar is doing, or if it's just unrelated completely. Like, did you get the... I don't know whether the... Because if Gengar is intentionally, like, hardcore pranking this guy, and sure, it's a jerk move to abandon him in the way he did, but seriously, I wouldn't want to deal with a Gengar that's constantly throwing Shadow Balls at me and, like, knocking stuff off the ledge. Like, it felt...
Yeah.
Like, with Charmander's flaw was that he wasn't tough enough or strong enough for that trainer, and that's really sad. But if Gengar's flaw is that he's aggressively pranking his previous trainer, I don't feel as bad for him.
Right. Yeah, I was confused on what the original trainer's meaning was too, because like he mentions like he hates that he was cursed, but we don't know if the trainer was making it a false equation or something. Or like if Gengar was doing it on purpose. And it's like, I know that like the anime has portrayed the Gengar line previously as pranksters. Haunter in the original anime did it.
he did some pretty mean pranks on some characters in Tower of Terror.
Dude, Haunter literally brings out some bombs at one point, like. But anyways, so like I get that they're prankster Pokemon as ghost types, but I never really got a sense of like what the truth was. So it was really hard for me to feel anything other than ambivalence, because I don't know who's sympathetic and who isn't.
Well, and you also wonder, is Gengar aggressively pranking like the lab currently because he was abandoned? Right? I thought he was abandoned for innocent reasons, and then he aggressively pranks out of revenge and upsetness at humans, but it doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. It just might be that he's just a prankster, and not everyone wants to deal with that crap.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody can handle that. So in that case, it's like, well, I mean, the trainer could have done a better job than, than
just saying, I'll stay right here.
Stay right here. I'll be back.
Hideout says that they felt the same way when they watched this episode, and I think they're watching the subversion. Dylan Oliver says Gengar only did pranks on people who are in the manor, not his trainer. But then was the trainer just unlucky? Like I don't get it. Whatever the intention was, they should have been a little clearer And the other thing too is, so I joked about the Jurassic Bark scene, and you referenced Drift Away from Steven Universe. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same sort of thing where the trainer says, "Sit here and wait for me," and Gengar waits for him for a long time. But the difference here is that Gengar has a stupid smile on his face because that's just apparently his design, which makes it impossible to feel like this is some sort of heart-wrenching moment. Like, I mean,
Mm.
it is sad that Gengar had to wait here and he was so loyal that he did this, but like, come on, man. Why is it such a part of his design that he has to smile at all times? Like, really?
Yeah, I mean, other games portray Gengar with a frown, so
I
like,
don't know.
I felt like the frown would have been way better, or like even over time, it just like changes to a frown.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would have been better, a better way to represent Gengar's emotional stress and turmoil. But no, it's just he just sit there with a big old smile.
Um,
I love abandonment. Yeah.
in the end, the other weird thing is that Ash passes out in this episode for bizarre reasons. Did you get that?
Mhm. I thought it was maybe some remnants of Gengar's curse still affecting him or something, but that was not even implied. I think that's just me trying to tie loose
I don't
ends
know
or
if there was a
something.
translation thing, but basically, what happens? I think Team Rocket shows up or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to remember what happens in some of these episodes because it's just like, but yeah, and
Yeah, Team Rocket shows up and Ash is like Gengar,
right,
you may not trust me, but I trust you, and then they fight together, and then Ash passes
right.
out.
Ash just, and it's like, really, was that Team Rocket fight too much for you, Ash? Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's just because he was haunted for so long that he couldn't get sleep previously. But whatever it is, they didn't really. I don't know. I feel like that was another thing that they just kind of left as just like Ash passes out, and it's like, well, if Gengar's making him pass out still, I don't know that that was the intention, but if he is, then like screw this Gengar, man. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't like Gengar. They didn't really do a great job endearing him as a.
No.
There have certainly been prankster Pokemon in the Pokemon anime that have been a lot more endearing, like Jigglypuff or Apom. That
Yep.
they've got like a very specific shtick, and they do it, and it may or may not be funny, but at least it doesn't seem super harmful, you know.
Mhm.
But with Gengar, just I don't know. The only thing I can say is that with a Dragonite and a Gengar now, Ash's team definitely seems to be shaping up to be pretty powerful. I would say. If we're going by Pokemon game rules, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So he better he better go out there and kick some butt.
do you think that the implication with this is that Gengar's previous trainer got him in a trade? Because how else would you get a Gengar? I guess like
That could
maybe
be it.
that would be more sad if Gengar had a lot of previous trainers that just kept trading him
Mm.
away or something. Like I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. Has that concept ever been done before?
I don't know. Well, no.
Because if not, that would be a great concept for an
Yeah.
episode. Having a Pokemon that keeps getting traded all the
Hmm.
time, that sounds like a great concept just waiting to
Yeah.
happen.
For one reason or another, yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't really like this. And comparing those confusing things with just the fact that it is kind of similar to Gengar's previous appearance, it just kind of,
Hmm.
I don't know, it's kind of a write-off episode.
Yeah.
Moving on, we
Yeah.
have. You ready to move on? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
We have kicking it from here into tomorrow. Uh, which is about Scorbunny not being able to use fire moves, and then
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, I suppose.
mhm.
I think the best part about this episode is just watching a Darmanitan bully this little score bunny
Yeah.
into like sadness. I thought that was oddly comedic.
Yeah, I love the fact that the park, like the center that Go keeps all of his Pokemon in, we keeps going back to it, and we keep seeing it be filled up more and more. I like the fact that Pokemon that have previously appeared only in one or two episodes kind of get to come back and be in the spotlight and have like a consistent personality, or a seemingly consistent
Hmm.
personality. I feel like
Yeah.
like in the past, when Ash would send Pokemon to Professor Oak, every so often you'd see them show up, like, in the background when he called Professor Oak. Like there'd be, I think like,
Those 30
yeah,
Toros.
or the muck that constantly like was glomming onto
Yeah.
him. That's cool, but that's just kind of like a one-off gag. Whereas this feels like they're really creating like a whole ecosystem here. of all these characters that they can kind of bring back whenever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so that's cool.
I like that kind of
Yeah.
continuity around across
hmm
episodes.
Um, yeah, and I mean, it's just kind of like a standard Pokemon episode, right? It's like Pokemon doesn't know how to do
Mm-hmm.
something. In the end, the trainer helps them through some unconventional way, which is Go throws a rock at him, and that's how he's able to use fire moves. I don't. Is there some like lore reason for that with Scorbunny's line? I know he kicks.
Yeah, I think there's this move that I know that the final evolution gets. Pardon me for not memorizing all the Galar Pokemon yet. Um, but it's basically got this fire type attack that's based around it kicking a fireball, and I think that's kind of an allusion or like a preface to it eventually obtaining
Pyro
that move
Ball.
when it hits it. Cinderace.
Oh.
Cinderace is its final evolution name. And I think it's kind of just like the setup for or an allusion to that move that's going to come later when Scorbunny hits its Cinderace evolution.
Yeah, people are saying it's similar
So
to
I think
Cinderace's Pyro Ball.
yeah. So I think it's just kind of foreshadowing to that maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go's attitude is a little weird in this episode, and he's basically like, "Why try? Like, well, you just can't do it. Why bother?" And
Yep.
it's like, I don't know. It's a little weird. Like, he should be in the wrong for this, but the show doesn't really. Ash kind of gives him a little bit of a talk, I think, but I don't know. Yeah, and then of course he evolves when he can do this. Because that's any sort of growth in Pokemon is equated to evolving. So I wonder how long it'll be until they change the opening. Now there's no more Scorbunny.
Yep, no more Scorbunny. It's Raboot, I believe.
I think the middle evolution is called Edgelord.
Yeah.
His name is.
I mean, that is kind of what it is.
I think his name is Kakashi. Listen. No, but yeah, no, I don't know. This is like I don't dislike this episode, but it just kind of feels like another one of those episodes that like Pokemon does all the time, and it's just teach him a TM, will you? Like. Yeah, no, Raboot doesn't really do all that much in this episode or the next few, but then he kind of comes and has like a whole episode about him a few episodes later. So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I don't really have much to say about this one.
Yeah, like I said, the best part was Darmanitan bullying it, so.
This is also the one with the phone booth. Like,
oh, yeah.
Well,
that was really weird.
So here's the thing. Here's the reason, and I actually have to check my notes. The reason why we forgot this is because, so this episode, like, the primary focus of it is about, it starts off with, like, Darmanitan kind of, like, showing Scorbunny, hey, do a fire move, and Scorbunny not being able to, and Darmanitan laughing at it, right? But then, like, in the middle of the episode, we just cut to Team Rocket, who apparently have a secret base in a phone booth, and they play a game about let's name things that are evil. Like, this is some real like kid show writing here. Like, it wasn't even so hammy that it's funny. It's just dumb. Like, I don't know if that's a dub thing that they were talking about something else, or playing some other game or something. But it comes off as dumb and seemingly has nothing to do with Scorbunny. The only thing it really has to do is that at the end, you know, Scorbunny's fighting against Team Rocket. That's like the battle that he learns the move that Go helps him. But even that feels weirdly inserted because the two types they're fighting against are water types. So Scorbunny being able to use a fire type move is like the least useful thing he could be doing in that battle. Right? I mean, am I wrong?
Right.
Like, it would make sense that, oh no, they're fighting against some really tough grass types and Scorbunny just can't beat them with kicks. What are they gonna do? Oh, he suddenly has to reach down inside him and you know, figure out how to use a fire type move because it's the only thing that'll save them. No, it's just they're water type Pokemon, and Scorbunny needed to learn a fire type, so that's just good against the water types at the end.
Yep.
But yeah, so much of Team Rocket's involvement in this episode is just really random. It's not even funny random. It's just random. The only thing that I found funny was that Because when we started watching it, I was like, a phone booth? Like, really? Does anyone know what that is? And then Go makes a similar
Yeah.
comment, and I'm like, okay, good. At least it paid off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe phone booths are still common in Japan. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but definitely not here in America.
Yeah. And yeah, like I get it. Type matchups aren't as big a deal in the anime. I mean, heck, Ash used Pikachu against the champions Charizard. Like automatically, Ash should be at an advantage, but no, because it's not that interesting. If that was always
Mm-hmm.
super OP, but like they could have picked Pokemon that weren't diametrically opposed to fire, right? Like
Right. Yeah. Like it could have been just like poison or
yeah, it
something.
doesn't it didn't
Cause
have
like,
to be
cause like
grass. Yeah.
fighting isn't super effective against poison. It's
Right.
resisted. So like that would be a fitting
Mm-hmm.
situation. You
Yeah,
know.
just any
So
thought at all would have been nice, or maybe it was intentional to show that it's really strong fire that can beat the water. I don't know, but yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
all right.
Never forget the sprinkler system.
Moving on to Destination Coronation. So basically, Ash gets serious about wanting to rank his level up to get into the tournament, and so he goes and finds the toughest trainer around, which it kind of teases that it's going to be Lieutenant Surge, but then it's not. It's like Lieutenant
Mm-hmm.
Surge's friend,
Yeah.
like who also used.
I would have preferred Lieutenant Surge.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a great opportunity because like they reference in the episode, you know, Ash battled Lieutenant Surge before. You know, they have a history. You know, and it would have been awesome to see a rematch with Lieutenant Surge and his Raichu versus Ash
And Volt
Pikachu,
Tackle wasn't
you
a
know?
thing when Ash first faced Lieutenant Surge.
Exactly. Yes, that's also true. So like, you know, I feel like that's a missed
Yeah.
potential, but as a whole, like this was a
Oh,
good
yeah.
episode for having some battles in there. So like I like that, and Gengar shows off. You know, Gengar's skill comes
Mhm.
in,
And
which I
the
liked.
person that replaces Lieutenant Surge, she was trained by him. So like it's the
Yes.
reason why it kind of feels like a missed opportunity is because she is so similar to Lieutenant Surge in some ways that it feels like it almost might as well have been him. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Yeah.
maybe they avoided it because they didn't want to run into continuity. They don't, you know, this is somewhat of a refresh for the series. They don't want to get too bogged down in continuity. I don't know. But yeah, and it was fun battles. Like you see the indents in the walls at the very beginning and you're wondering like, "Oh, well, what caused those or what the deal is?" And then of course by the end you find out that it's Electrode.
Yep.
Bouncing around. And that was really cool seeing that kind of go haywire and seeing how Ash had to deal with that. Very straightforward episode. It's just a gym battle essentially, but I think it was a pretty fun one.
Yeah. You know, because a lot of these episodes prior, I've been focusing on other things other than battling.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a lot of battles at all. So like to have this, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh yeah, you know, this is a pretty big aspect of Pokemon.
Right.
We should probably see that here
And-
and there. So yeah, and it progresses Ash towards his goal again. So you know, it feels fair.
And it shows that even though Ash doesn't have to fight like gym leaders or whatever to increase his rank, he still can. Like you know, you're still gonna get things that are similar to what would have been a gym battle in another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just kind of straightforward there. Let me see if I have anything note wise. Yeah, just the battles were pretty cool.
Yep.
No mention of the fact that Surge like tried to get Ash to evolve Pikachu or anything, and that he was kind of a jerk. But whatever, it's fine. Maybe he's grown.
I just wanted to hear Lieutenant Surge go hit him with a thunderbolt. I love the way he talks in the original. Hey, Raichu, hit him with a thunderbolt. Yep.
Philip K says that the move Magnet Rise. So Magnet Rise is what Electrode used to kind of like maneuver around the field, and in the games, all it does is make electric types immune from ground type moves. But I'm okay with this level of, you know, divergence from the games because realistically, if you're doing something that can like rise yourself and other things up off the field, it kind of makes sense that you'd be able to manipulate the battlefield. I don't know. Like I felt like as long as they're using the moves in such a way that would make sense in the real world, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the way the move works in the game, I'm okay with it. I feel like if you have a move that does like the complete opposite thing, I think that's kind of dumb. But if you have a move that can kind of like logically make sense that, okay, well, like Quick Attack, like okay, you could use quick attack to dodge something because you're moving really fast. Like that's just a natural thing that there's no way to represent that in the games, but makes sense for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the anime definitely has a lot more flexibility
Right.
with that because it's full on animation, whereas the games are usually restricted to the what the what's the word I'm looking for? There's like with the way that Pokemon makes a lot of
Oh,
its moves,
reactions
it's
and everything. Yeah,
universal.
yeah, yeah.
It's universal for all Pokemon, so they can't like make too many moves specific. So like an Electrode using Quick Attack looks awfully similar to a Rattata using Quick Attack. You know, that's what I'm
Right,
trying to say.
right. Yeah, and I mean, of course, you wouldn't. It wouldn't be visually interesting if every move did. If like in the show it worked exactly the same way as the
If a
game.
Pokemon used Double Kick and it just hopped up
Yeah,
once.
yeah. Like why? So okay. And then next up we have a talent for imitation, which is about a Ditto who is a movie star who can transform perfectly into any other Pokemon unless it's nervous.
Yep.
And when this abusive director starts yelling at it, it runs away, and then Team Rocket finds it and takes it in as one of their own. But then I don't know, they push it away to go back to being a movie star.
Yeah. This felt like a Status Quo's God
Yeah, this
episode.
was a dumb episode. First
Yeah.
of all, we're told that this Ditto is like such a great actor that can mimic any Pokemon perfectly, and we see no example of that. Because the first time we see
we're
it
just told.
transform, it messes up. Like, we're told, oh, this Ditto is so great, and then it's not. Like, and then also, okay, this is a common misconception in media, which is bizarre, but no director should be abusive to
No.
especially not like animals working on the set. That's not okay. There's not an amount of saying, oh, well, he gets the job done. Like, yes, there have been directors that are abusive and have made great movies, but that doesn't justify the abuse. There's no reason to treat actors that way. And this director just yells at the Pokemon the whole time, and it's supposed to be funny, I guess. But when the end result is that Ditto is supposed to go back and be in this movie and be yelled at some more, it's dumb. Like, the explanation is that the justification is the director can see the potential. But like, no, you don't get to just yell at someone until they open up their potential. There's a difference between pushing someone hard and just yelling at them. You know what I mean? Like that's not what a good director or a good person does.
Yeah. Like this guy's just a jerk. He's not trying to bring out the best or anything.
And why does Ditto need to have a job anyway? Like what why does Ditto, there's no indication that Ditto even wants to be an actor.
Yeah, what is Ditto getting?
I don't know.
This,
I think the manager is like one of those like stage moms that's just funny, like
why not just get like an actual other Gardevoir or even a Gallade, like why does it need to be a like I understand the logic is you can reuse Ditto for any Pokemon, but like if it's that much of a pain for you, just go get another Gardevoir or a Gallade.
Yeah, or just a person in a Gardevoir costume. Like I don't know, man. I did kind of like seeing Ditto interact with Team Rocket, and of course, this is a nicer side of Team Rocket that helps this Ditto for really no gain. I mean, they try to use it in schemes, but when that doesn't work, they just they care about the Ditto's happiness more than their own well-being, which is more than the stupid director and manager can say. Also, it's not that Ditto tells them through Meowth that she wants to go back to being a movie star. It's just that they assume that that's what they want. That's what the Ditto wants.
Yep.
Like. I don't know. Yeah. Another weird thing is that Team Rocket's scheme is that they use Ditto to do like a magic trick where they tell someone that their Pokemon is teleported when really it's just Ditto. But like, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you live in a world where psychic Pokemon and even psychic humans exist? How are magicians even a thing? Like, dumb stage magicians. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, you could use, couldn't an Abra use teleport and teleport one Pokemon from one to the other? Or, like, how is that impressive? Like, there's a million ways in the Pokemon world you could do that. I don't know. It didn't seem to make sense, but... I mean, it's also a Team Rocket plan, so I don't know. Do you think this episode was a tie-in to Detective Pikachu, like a year too late? Because it's a Ditto who plays plays a significant role in Detective Pikachu, and the Pokemon anime usually does episodes that are about movies around the time when they put out a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there was some type of tie-in, I didn't see it. They didn't even give Pikachu a detective hat.
That's not what
so.
I mean. They usually do episodes about making movies around the time one of the Pokemon movies come out,
Right.
but they don't have it specifically be related to the movie.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you were tying in like how like
No.
Mewtwo is referenced for the first
No,
movie
no.
in other episodes.
I'm
Okay,
talking about
sorry,
like
sorry.
episodes where Ash and the gang come across like a movie set and stuff. Like I think I forget what the name of the one in Kanto is. There's like one or two movie. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Well, because
Mhm.
you know, then there is a Ditto in Detective too, but I don't know. I mean, it's pretty late, probably, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just kind of a lot of episodes this part that I just really didn't care about. Like I just wasn't invested, and a part of it is just because they kind of expect you to feel a certain thing for Pokemon, but it's got to be a lot of telling because Pokemon can't talk themselves. Like
Yeah, and a lot of like it feels like a lot of it relies on the fact that you're supposed to feel for the Pokemon just because it's a
right,
Pokemon. And like you don't actually understand what the Pokemon is feeling or what the Pokemon wants. Like, we saw that like with Gengar's whole situation and its trainer, like we didn't understand or we weren't
right.
given the actual situation that caused that, you know, problem to arise. And here with Ditto, we don't know what it wants, what its goal is. With the Score Bunny episode, like yeah, it's overdone in Pokemon, but we at least knew,
Right.
hey, this Score Bunny wants to be able to breathe fire. Like we understood that. We got that.
I was surprised Meowth didn't translate for Ditto. Like
Yeah, because Meowth does that all the
right.
time.
That's like a big role of Meowth in this series is enabling us to actually know what Pokemon are on about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean like the episode clearly wants you to think that Ditto was like made for acting and like that's what it wants, but I didn't see any evidence that that's what it actually wanted. Why would it want to go back to
Mm-hmm.
being yelled at by a director? What does it matter? Is it can it win awards? Like what are its ambitions? Is it like this Ditto has won, 3 Poke Oscars for best picture and now he's up against the biggest challenge of his life or her life. But like no, they don't establish like what the deal is other than that just they're a good actor.
Yep.
Okay. Next up we have Dreams Were Made of These, which is about Ash and Go orienteering uh, a bunch of kids, kind of teaching them about Pokemon. This one was cute. I liked this one. I didn't think it was anything amazing, but I thought that just kind of Ash and Go being mentors to other kids and kind of showing off, like,
Mm-hmm.
Go likes catching Pokemon, Ash likes battling Pokemon. It was cute. I didn't think it was anything revolutionary, but
Yeah, it was fine. It was a just fine episode. I don't have any qualms with it. I thought it was, serviceable.
the funniest thing is the line about it's not good to leave little kids alone. Like Jenny comes and chides Ash for leaving these like 8-year-olds alone, and it's like, oh yeah, no, you don't leave kids alone unless they're 10. 10 is the age of maturity.
Then it's okay.
Right, then they can take care of themselves. Like,
what's that? You turn 10 today. Get out.
Also the rocket disguises in this episode were atrocious. Like they put like
Yeah,
garbage bags
absolutely.
over their head, and that was it. Like, ugh.
Yeah, there was like no effort there.
Okay. I don't really have anything else to say.
I don't have like this one. I have literally nothing written down. It was just
Did you think it was
it's
bad or
okay.
did you just think it was okay?
No, I thought it was fine, but like I don't know. There's nothing for me to really say. If you want to watch an episode about Ash teaching people, then it's okay. But I feel like it doesn't really progress anything. Yeah. So,
I mean, it technically
the next episode though I do.
It technically does because Go catches things and Ash battles, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
So episode 9, Caring for a Mystery. So. Apparently, so Ash and Go learn about Pokemon eggs, and Ash feels like this psychic connection to something that he finds out at the Pokemon Center is an egg that's calling out for Ash. And then Ash takes it, and it hatches into a Riolu, and it turns out that it was its aura powers that were reaching out to Ash, and now Ash has a Riolu.
Yeah.
Okay, before we talk about anything else, I gotta talk about the ridiculousness of the Pokemon egg situation. So, in the
Okay.
games, okay, you can breed Pokemon. Whenever you go up to the person, they're like, "Oh, we don't know how eggs got there." And in my mind, the implication is that this old man is not going to tell this 10-year-old kid exactly how Pokemon breeding works. Not necessarily that literally no one has ever seen a Pokemon lay an egg. But in this episode, it is expressly stated that Professor Elm, the dude who's dedicated his entire life to studying Pokemon eggs, and no one else in this universe has ever seen a Pokemon lay an egg. There are breeders, a job, a class in this universe is breeding Pokemon, and no one understands where eggs come from or how the biology of that works. Explain that to me, Shadow.
They just don't want to talk about the birds and the bees in Pokemon. That's all.
I mean, I get it, but why even include that detail?
Yeah, like just don't acknowledge it at all. Like I don't see why it needs to be just Pokemon lay
Yep.
eggs. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, done. End of conversation. I'm not gonna question
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
you
like,
know?
that's all. Just say they lay eggs. We don't need to know about, like...
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that happens in the games too. I want to say, like, I don't know.
I
could
don't
be
remember
wrong, but
Johto,
I feel
but
like
I know in the rest of the games when it's, like, the old man telling you. I just assume that it's because you're 10. Like, they're not going to tell you.
yeah, like so I don't know if it was just them referencing the games, like the show was doing that or what. But yeah, it feels like it's just a needless detail. Like, why even acknowledge it?
Right, yeah, again,
There's no
it's a
reason.
kid's show. I'm not saying you need to explain, like, how these eggs came to be, but, like, just say that Pokemon lay eggs. Like, why does that... Are they saving up for some potential storyline where they explain?
Well, they've been saving up for decades, apparently, if that's the
Yeah.
case.
Philip K, you have a great point. Pokemon eggs have been in the anime, like, many times, and no one else is like, no one knows where the egg came. Like, what's the deal with eggs? It's like, I don't know. That's
What's the deal with
you're a
eggs?
terrible biologist if you dedicate yourself to one study of the field and you don't even understand, like... And it's so simple, right? Because...
How do you not understand eggs? What is wrong
like,
with you?
do cameras not exist? Can you not, like, put Pokemon, under a camera and, like, study that? Like, isn't this the whole point? Who dedicate? I don't know. Sorry, I know this is a rant, but, like, they make an effort to mention this in the episode. They mention, like, Professor Elm is the researcher on eggs. He was under Professor Oak. He dedicated his life to studying eggs. We still don't know where they come from. It's like...
I know where they come from. They come from Pokestops.
I made that joke with my girlfriend too, because yeah, I mean it's
oh my
like...
gosh.
I feel like we've probably seen somewhere in the anime some Pokemon laying an egg too. I feel like that's contradicted.
It's possible. The anime's over 1,000 episodes, so it could have happened.
Eggs. Where did they come from?
What's the deal with eggs? That's the takeaway I have from this stream. Okay.
How is the
great.
world not just overpopulated with Pokemon then if people don't understand how eggs are like... Okay, anyway, moving along. This is an interesting episode. It's canonical that Ash has strong aura powers, as I'm sure you know from Lucario and the Mystery of Mew.
Yep.
And that's one thing that the show does kind of remember, which is cool. They don't specifically, like, lay it out here, but Riolo is drawn to Ash because of his aura. And yeah, I thought this was a cool episode.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was an interesting way to bring in the egg aspect. And as soon as they said that the egg was from Sinnoh, I instantly guessed Riolu.
Really?
Yes, the egg was blue. It was from Sinnoh. I guessed Riolu.
My instinct was that it was going to be Fion. I know it wasn't, like, the exact color, but I was kind of thinking, like, well, if I'm thinking of, like, unique, interesting eggs in Sinnoh, Fion's got that weird mechanic.
Yeah, Fion didn't cross my mind, but that would have been a very good guess, too.
But
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you get a Riolu
Anti
egg in
can
one of
be.
the Sinnoh games.
Yeah, you get it in Diamond Pearl
Right.
Platinum. You what's
Oh,
his
the
name?
dude you
Riley.
travel with.
Riley
Yeah,
gives it to you.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, like, it's very fitting. I mean, Lucario is the kind of Pokemon that a lot of people like. A lot of people also think is, like, way overexposed, being in Smash Bros, being one of the first ones to be revealed for for Gen 4,
Gen 4.
getting in all these
Yep.
mini games. Like,
It has a
yep,
mega.
yep. It
Yeah.
is, but I mean, it is also that way because it is a cool Pokemon. Like,
It is a cool
Fighting Steel's a
Pokemon.
cool type.
Yeah.
And it's strong. I mean, and also narratively, of course, giving Ash a Pokemon that has to do with friendship and evolve. Like, it's gonna pay off at some point, I'm sure. Um,
So in this series, Ash has a Gengar, a Dragonite, and he's gonna get
yeah,
a Lucario at some
yeah.
point. Like Ash is stacked,
And that's
right
great.
now.
I love it. I love that Ash is gonna have an OP
Yeah,
team.
like he's gonna have a competent team. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing like towards the end of the series when he's got like that full team of 6. Hopefully, I'd love to see that.
Nice.
So
Yeah, and I like the mystery of, you might have guessed what it is, but like they don't really spell it out.
yeah,
There's just kind of like a level of mystery.
yeah, and if you don't have the experience of Lucario and the Mystery Mew, that whole connection thing might be more
Random.
random because I think that's another thing I might have like made a connection
Mhm.
to, possibly, but
Yeah, I'm sure they'll mention it at some point.
mhm.
Something to do with Aura. I mean, they mention Aura. Or no, they don't mention Aura, do they?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they just called it like a psychic connection
Right.
or something.
Oh
So,
no, he uses Vacuum Wave on Ash. That's right.
hmm.
Yeah. Riolu runs off and like, I don't know. In terms of like the story of the episode, it's still fairly typical, but Riolu is a cool addition to Ash's team for sure. And at least again, like they didn't make it. I feel like they could have made this a lot more like obvious from the start that it was Riolu, and it wouldn't have been as interesting. But the
Yeah.
mystery of it, kind of the mystery of you don't really know if Ash is gonna keep this Pokemon or if there's like some sort of backstory where it's like it's been separated from its parents and Ash is gonna get it back or something. Like there's a little bit of like that what's going to happen element, and that's
Yeah.
always nice to see in Pokemon because there's so many of these stories. I mean, we talked about a few where it's like Ditto's gonna go back to be a movie star. You know that Scorbunny's gonna be able to use the move at the end of the episode. These things are gonna happen. They're so obvious, and Pokemon plays by the book so often that anything that kind of goes away from it is nice. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. So moving along, we have Goodbye Friend, which So, I don't know about you, but when I heard Goodbye Friend and I started seeing Beautifly, I'm like, oh, well, something's getting released. It's I was thinking it was going to be the Dustoxes. I thought Go was going to release like 2 of them, that he didn't need 3 of those. I mean, I guess they hadn't evolved into Dustox yet, but I thought they might evolve and then get released. But no, as it turns out, it's just a ripoff of Pikachu's Goodbye. Different episode.
This is a snooze fest for me. This was a total snooze fest. Yeah. I slept on this completely. Not literally, but like I zoned out. I didn't really feel anything. This was
the only thing I can say about. So basically, we haven't mentioned it, but Raboot, his new personality. So, and I hate this. I hate it so much that like, oh, look at this, a fire type starter that doesn't want to obey its trainer anymore and gets angsty after it evolves. Gee, where have they done that before? It's just literally the same thing as Ash's Charmander. Like, and then, so it's kind of edgy for a few episodes, and then this is the episode about it, and it's also dumb because it's like the only reason it evolved was because Go and Scorbunny became really close, and Go helped Scorbunny achieve its goal. I get that this episode is trying to equate it to an edgy teenager that just goes through that phase, but like, it just seems dumb and random and just an effort to be Charmander again. Like,
yeah.
And then the story of the episode. I don't know if do you remember Pikachu's Goodbye?
Yes.
So if you basically it's an episode like episode 30 or 40 in Pokemon season 1. It might even be earlier than that. But basically
that episode made me cry as a kid.
There's a really sappy song in that
traumatized.
episode. A real sappy song also called Pikachu's
It is.
Goodbye, I think. But basically, Ash comes across a group of Pikachu in the forest and believes that Pikachu would be happier with those Pikachu, and he tries to leave them there without even asking Pikachu, like, what he thinks. He just, like, leaves them there, thinking he knows best, and then it's really sappy, And then at the very end, Pikachu comes running back and it's like really wants to be with Ash. And that's exactly what happens here.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's not a group of Raboots. It's like just other Pokemon that also
Just a
right.
random cacophony of
But it's the
whatever.
same sort of thing.
Yeah.
No one actually believes that Scorbunny is leaving this show when he's in the opening. Not a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Or Raboot, I should say. Not a chance. Boring. Like, sorry, that's just the format of the show means that this was never going to be interesting. I don't think.
Yep.
The migration of the Butterfree, like, okay, it looked a little pretty, but I've seen migrations of Dustoxes. I've seen migrations of Butterfrees. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, this episode did nothing for me. I could have skipped this episode outright, and I would have been totally content with that.
They don't really even play it for too much drama, like in Bye Bye Butterfree or Pikachu's Goodbye. It's just like Go's just like, yeah, he's better off. I don't want him, like, whatever. Like, he doesn't like me anyway. It's not.
Yeah, and then the best part is as soon as the train door shuts, he's like, no, I take it back. I'm wrong. I was wrong. Oh, it's like, you really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are you suddenly just like, nope, you know what? I don't know. I don't get this episode at all. This
Okay, Ambipom leaving because of ping pong is that. I mean, I agree that's unexpected, but that's, I don't know, that's an exception. Like, if main Pokemon are gonna leave, usually it's an episode that, like, but that's the thing. It's like, this is literally Go's main Pokemon. Like, we're not talking about like Ash releasing Gengar or something. Like, it's Go's main Pokemon. You know it's not gonna happen. I mean, I thought so anyway. And yeah, so basically, I don't know. They try to equate it to the rebellious phase, and Raboot's been leaving at night for mysterious reasons, and Go doesn't know why, and it turns out he's been helping Pokemon breakdance to maintain their turf, which is just, it was funny at first, like, oh really, like, this is what we're going with, but I didn't think it was legitimately good. Like, it was, and I didn't even think the animation on the dancing was good. I thought it was a little choppy. I feel like if anything should have gotten the animation bump in the episode, it should have been the dancing. And then that's just it for the rest of the episode. It's just a dance battle. Like, not for the rest of the episode, but just like for a little while, like the Loudred come in, and it's just.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention. I was like on my phone for some of this.
I don't blame you. So yeah, that was lame. All right, and then moving on, we have Panic in the Park. So basically, this is an episode all about. I guess this one is the filler episode in the sense that Go doesn't catch it. Oh no, that's not true. Something evolves. That's right. Yep. There we go. I wonder if it's a concise, like a specific effort to make sure something happens of note in each episode, because that would be kind of cool. But yeah, the plot of this one is that the food in the research center is going missing. All the Pokemon food that's left out for all of Go's Pokemon, who I don't know who's paying for all this crap, but whatever. All the food's going missing. The Pokemon are going hungry, and they're all fighting over it. And Go and Ash like camp out in the biodome or whatever to try to find the culprit, and then the Who's That Pokemon spoils it.
Yep.
But
Ash, we saved the rec center. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what this is.
I think they were taking. I think Tunjay was talking about the previous episode, but with the breakdancing. But
I think it can apply to both in a way. So the thing I liked about this episode was seeing the Pokemon kind of break off into different factions with each other. You know, when they're starting to get conflicted, like Scyther forms a faction with all the bug types, and then like the poison types are over there, and then like Misdreavus teams up with Sandile, and they're like, all right, we're gonna try and convince these guys to give us their food. You know, I like seeing all the Pokemon kind of team up here and there in their own little groups and butt heads.
I feel like if you were to put so many different creatures from such different areas of the world together in one big dome, probably be a complete disaster. Like, this seems like some sort of like hazard for these poor creatures. Like, and the first thing it catches is a ton of bug Pokemon too. So like, those poor things are like, I'm surprised they didn't get eaten in this episode. I feel like if the Pokemon world was somewhat realistic, like, those would be the first things to get eaten. Like those, what are the Cascoon, Silcoon? I don't know. Whichever one they are, those have been gone. Like,
yeah, Cascoon.
Scyther would have probably eaten them. Ekans would have eaten the but whatever. It's
Mhm.
Pokemon. So yeah, I don't know. This episode felt simultaneously like a lot happened and also nothing at all. Like it's a
Yeah.
weird episode in the sense that like things there's long periods in this episode where it is just those Pokemon like ganging up on each other, and we don't hear what there's we can't understand them. We don't know what dialogue is going on. They're just kind of fighting over the last pieces of food, and it feels like that goes on for too long for something that we really don't like it's a silent cartoon basically. You know what I mean? Like we don't even have the narrator chiming in and being like, "But Ekans doesn't want this to happen to like
Right.
it's just Pokemon kind of like ganging up on each other, and not even in an interesting way,
Mhm.
not like in a nature documentary way, in a cartoon way of like they're all walking in a line and intimidating each other, and then a big Pokemon comes out and they all run away scared, and then the water type Pokemon spits at the other and it's like, I don't know. But then at the same time, so that happens, and then like at the end, like Golurk just like wakes up and then drops its band-aid in the pool
Cleans
and just
house.
is like, well, guess it's time for the flood. Get the boat, Noah. Um
Yep.
and then
Time for total
and then the
annihilation.
Pokemon have to work together to kind of like stop the disaster. Like, so that's kind of cool. I like the idea that these Pokemon are all in disarray and fighting each other, and then have to come together to stop this disaster. That's cool. I just wish the execution was more interesting. I wish the animation was better. I know anime is a little weird in the sense that animation quality goes up and down depending on what's going on. They save up the budget for better things. But I feel like if there was anything, I feel like something that was really well animated of just Pokemon existing in this like in nature, even though it's not nature, in this artificial nature, could have been really
Mhm.
interesting. But instead, it's not animated like beautifully, and it's also not treated as anything other than kind of like goofy cartoon smoke cloud fighting. Um, you know what I mean? Like I feel like this could have been a special, interesting episode, but instead it feels like one of the most throwaway ones. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I mean, um, like you said, with the episode kind of having a whole lot of something and nothing simultaneously. It's like, yeah, because really the only progress that is made is the
yeah.
Cascoons. Um, but other than that, it is a bunch of Pokemon just doing their thing. Like I said, I at least liked seeing some things like the Mischievous and the Sandile teaming
Mm-hmm.
up to kind of trick them. I thought that was like light and comedic. But the ultimate goal of this episode feels like it's just filler-y.
Yeah. And the mystery element was interesting at first, but then, like I mentioned, the Who's That Pokemon literally
Just gives it
gives it
away.
away.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, okay, so there's a squirrel Pokemon in here. And I mean, we see it earlier, but the fact that Who's That Pokemon focused on it, it's like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because every single Who's That Pokemon always focuses on the Pokemon that's kind of like
yep.
the main center of
And
attention
if
for the
it's not,
episode. Like,
basically there's two modes for Who's That Pokemon. It's either dead obvious because the Pokemon was on screen before the commercial break, or it ruins what is supposed to be like a surprise later on in the episode. That's the two modes of Who's
yeah.
That Pokemon. I know it's nostalgic for a lot of people. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason they still do it. But like, really, it only hurts the show. And there's not even a reason for
Mm-hmm.
it on Netflix because there is no commercial break.
Exactly.
Edit it out.
I
Like,
feel it'd be better without it. Yeah. Get rid of it.
and also I feel like the only people that Who's That Pokemon is interesting for is going to be like really young people, and they don't even like say the name of the Pokemon on screen. They put the text and then they have the Pokemon do their cry, which is
Mm-hmm.
their name somewhat, but like I don't know. I mean, that's a small nitpick, but like they used to just scream out the name of the Pokemon, and at least that was something for little kids. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it is. Panic at the Park is a weird episode. I just kind of wish it was more than it was. I wish.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the idea is there. I feel like the mystery of like, well, someone's been stealing food, and there's so many different Pokemon that don't get along with each other, or that come from like different kind of factions, or are predator and prey, or whatever. That it really could have been anyone. They didn't make it obvious who was stealing the food. They didn't focus in on any one Pokemon until the Who's That Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's such a great setup, but then it's just a lot of smoke cloud fighting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you ready for the last one?
Mm-hmm.
A little Rocket R&R. So
So Team Rocket's ordered to take a
by
vacation.
this like admin lady who they don't like and bosses them around. And she basically sends them away so that she can do serious Team Rocket stuff because they're such incompetent idiots. But
so they go to the Sinnoh region.
Yeah.
To the resort area, which is referenced to the post game actually.
That's a nice
which
reference,
was cool. Because that's something that you don't see too much.
Yeah. And then her Team Rocket plan is going off well, and of course our members of Team Rocket, Jesse James and Meowth, don't like that, so they help Go and Ash stop them.
Pikachu actually gets captured.
Yeah. What I liked about this episode, I liked the earlier parts of it where it was just kind of like Jesse James and Meowth are ordered to take a vacation, so they have to do it. They can't, try to steal Pikachu or whatever. But then they run into Ash and Go constantly on this vacation and kind of alternate between like, James is helping them pick out fishing lures and like they seem genuinely happy to be friends, and then also like resisting the urge to steal Pikachu. And I thought that was a funny setup in the same way that like Just One Bite is funny in SpongeBob, right? Where it's like, don't do this one thing that you always do. Don't do it. Like, and of course they're naturally put in a position where it would have been a lot easier to steal Pikachu than even usually because the Ash's guard is down. That was great. The whole thing about like good Team Rocket stealing the Pokemon and our Team Rocket helping, it just kind of felt like, I don't know. It's like, what is even the point of Rocket, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, Philip even just asks, like, what is their goal in this series? They're supposed to be stealing Pokemon, but the machines give them random Pokemon, so do they even need to steal them? And that's the whole thing. I don't know. I think I mentioned this the last time we were on
talk
stream
about this.
Where I was like asking, about like Team Rocket's. I don't know. I really don't feel like anything towards Team Rocket anymore. I mean, I maybe I'll go back and watch the original series again, but like this series, I have not cared about them at all. Like I've been like I don't know. I've wanted to move past it. I've had no interest in Jesse and James and Meowth. I feel like they haven't done anything.
Well,
really.
just like Go and Ash kind of got new specific goals. It would be nice if Jesse, James, and Meowth did. Like previously, Jesse competed in contests and like they have played around with what the characters' goals are, even if their goals are also still to capture always. I just kind of feel like I understand their motivation here is that they don't want to be one-upped by this other member of Team Rocket, right? They want to be the one to kill Pikachu. But at the same time, it's like, wouldn't this admin's plan going off like benefit them? Like if they ultimately cared about Giovanni's goal, wouldn't this like, I don't know. I like I said, I kind of liked the fluffy comic reliefy stuff in the earlier parts of the episode, and I feel like they could have pushed that harder. I feel like a whole episode where like Ash is literally like dropping Pikachu in their lap and being like, "Hey, can you watch Pikachu for a second while I go to the bathroom?" Like, while they're specifically told not to catch any Pokemon, you can't steal Pokemon on this vacation. I feel like that is a good Team Rocket story. I feel like that's a funny story that works with the characters. If they're given strong enough motivation to not capture Pikachu, of course. I feel like Giovanni telling them this would have been a stronger motivation than the lady that they hate. But I feel like that could have made for an entertaining, funny, fillery episode that would have successfully used Team Rocket. But ultimately, it's just, what's the difference between the admin lady and the other people stealing Pokemon and our Team Rocket stealing Pokemon? It's none. They're maybe a little bit better, but they still lose the Pokemon at the end of the episode. They're not super competent. This could have just been another Jesse, James, and Meowth steal Pikachu while Ash and Go are on vacation story. Didn't matter. Doesn't matter. It just, give them something else to do, please.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I have like no attachment to them in this series. Nothing they do is really warranting my interest, and it stinks because this feels like the series where they could give them some other things to do,
Yeah.
and this is kind of a dud to end part 2.
Oh yeah, this is not a
really.
great season finale moment in any way.
Yeah, and it doesn't end on a cliffhanger this time, unlike part 1, which did. Sorry, I
Pokemon on
apologize for that
motorcycles.
motorcycle. Yeah, I apologize for that. But yeah, it's just kind of like a downer, kind of like, oh, all right, I guess it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. But I also don't think Panic in the Park would have been a great season finale either.
No, I don't think so either. I don't know what would be a good finale, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
Well,
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I think
what
Destination Coronation, if they had pushed that later in the, I mean, you can't because of the way, with Score Bunny and everything. But like hypothetically, if you were making these episodes, you could have put that. But again, when these are produced in Japanese, they're aired just on TV in Japan week by week. They're not aired 12 episodes at a time on Netflix. So they're produced not in a way that makes them particularly great to watch in 12 episode chunks. And then Netflix just kind of takes that. Now Netflix could have chose to do this weekly. They could have chose to release them 20 episodes at a time or 5 episodes at a time or 4 or whatever. Maybe 4 episodes a month would have even been better. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm looking at the literal next episode description on Wikipedia, and it sounds like that would have been a better finale to this second part. Especially because the episode after that is a 2-parter, which would work great as a
lead into the next part.
Lead into the next one.
So really what they should have just done is put The Climb to be the very best in the previous season, or the previous part.
Yeah, or even just flip Rocket R&R and the next one.
Yeah, I don't know that anything... Yeah. I'm not sure if Go Catch is Pokemon R&R. Not sure.
Because I'm looking at the next description, and I don't know if there'd be any continuity errors if they got flipped, so... Yeah.
But then people would complain. But honestly, I feel like as long as it doesn't directly contradict, I feel like flipping an episode just to make it more exciting to end for Netflix, I feel like fine, personally.
Yeah, I would have no gripes with that.
But yeah, how did you feel about part 2 overall and compared to part 1? I keep doing that, man.
I liked part 1 more.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah, I liked part 1 way more.
I mean, unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it goes with Pokemon, where in a lot of seasons, in my opinion, they kind of blow a lot of their best ideas in like the first 10 or 20 episodes, and then like the next stretch of like 50 are not all bad, but just like so many of those stock plots that you're sick of. Like I feel like part 1 had the excitement of like going to new crazy places, and we're establishing what the new setup is and what Go's dream is, and visiting Galar for the first time. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff, whereas part 2, oh yeah, that's right, Magikarp.
Yeah, the giant Magikarp, I forgot about that. So unless those Magikarp and Goldeen show up in the next episode, I can't see that there would be any continuity issues.
But yeah, I feel like part 2, I think that the fact that it takes place over many different regions helps. It helps the variety a little bit. I think the fact that Go is very much progressing and catching Pokemon in just about every episode helps make it feel exciting. And I feel like Ash's goal is exciting, but I feel like overall the second part was lackluster. Because I mean, really, when you get down to it, you have a lot of episodes that are just Pokemon cliches. Like you have abused Pokemon that was left by its owner. You have Pokemon really tries hard to learn something and then achieves his goal at the end of the episode with the help of his trainer, and then evolves. You have Pokemon runs away from the thing they're destined to do, and then gets some help by someone, and then goes back to what they're doing. Like, you have a trainer tries to leave Pokemon because they think they'd be better off. Like, yeah. So Philip K says, Journeys doesn't seem to really have any trajectory due to the setup. I do like the World Coronation series, traveling all over and Go catching a lot, but without gyms, there isn't any next step. And you know what? That's a decent point in the sense that the thing that gyms did, at least, they were like, milestones. Whereas whenever Ash battles someone, it's like, it is increasing his score, but is it really that big a milestone or that big a victory? It kind of cheapens the individual victories. or it doesn't make them as interesting because they're not as big. But I don't know. I think when you take away those things, the excitement of the regions and stuff, like the actual stories in a lot of these episodes just aren't that interesting. The
Yeah.
Ruin episode was interesting and fun. The Destination Coronation was fun. Like Dreams Are Made of These was okay, and then the rest of them were like, in my opinion, they're just like take them or leave them. I don't I if there's
Mhm.
if part 3 is this quality, I won't watch anymore. Truth be told,
Yeah.
um, there's only so much of the novelty of like visiting these regions and seeing big Pokemon and like stuff like that. There's only so much that can hold on its own. The stories really need to
Mhm.
be more interesting than they are here, and I don't know if it's a dub thing or just a series that's gone on for way too long, or just poor writing or writing with the intent for very young children. I don't know what the issue is, but they've proven that they can put out interesting episodes, or even ones like the raid battle in the ruins. I don't think is like this amazing bastion of new ideas, but it's still fun.
Mhm.
It's fun to travel to that interesting location, have the characters meet some interesting new trainers, have this Golurk be a really fun, cool novelty Pokemon, and that's kind of what I said in the first part. Is that like it felt like the show was prioritizing these big epic moments like Ash and Go riding on Lugia, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when the show is doing that, I think it generally does a pretty good job at being entertaining and exciting. But when it's not
Mhm.
doing that, when it's just another episode about the same crap that Pokemon's always about, they need to be more interesting with it. You can repeat storylines, but you gotta at least put a new spin on it.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. This as a whole, like I felt like part 2 was very
Yeah.
dull.
Dylan Oliver's saying that Ash returns to Alola in the next part, and that was one of their most interesting
Ah,
episodes. Or I guess it wouldn't be the
that's
next part because
interesting.
it would be 37. Dang it!
Yeah, and then
Oh,
that would be the first part of the one
dang
after
it!
that. So, oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and
Mm-hmm.
see. Part 3 is. I feel like if we shouldn't promise part 3 because I feel like
Yeah.
if we watch the first couple parts of part 3 and it's doing nothing, we probably won't cover
Right,
it
right.
again.
Very true. I don't want to say the
Um,
same things.
yeah, exactly. Because if it's just more of this, then it's really not worth
No,
covering.
it'd be more interesting
But if it does,
to
yeah.
cover the CG movies, I think.
Yeah, but if it does have more to talk about that's worthwhile, like I'm totally down to cover
Mm-hmm.
that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. No promises.
Yeah, yeah. What did you guys think? If anyone has any interesting opinions, thank you. Some people are definitely into Pokemon. Thank you guys for giving us some interesting insight into the subs and just other stuff that's happened in
Mhm.
Pokemon. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Mhm.
I want more from this series. I don't know. I feel like the setup is there. I feel like they could do interesting things as long as they just keep doing big crazy novelties. And I mean, there's definitely
Right.
potential for some like nostalgia trips. I don't know if they will, but
Mhm.
there is a possibility for that.
Yeah. I would have, like I said, I would have liked to see Lieutenant Surge in Destination
Yeah.
Coronation, and it kind of stinks that we did kind of get skipped out on that one, and I hope that the series isn't going to do that where it toys with us, but it never actually goes like full in on something nostalgic. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with that one.
Okay. Um. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Pretty fun.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
guys,
Thank you, Shadow, for being here.
and thank you, Pi, as
Yes.
well. It's always a pleasure to do this. I do look forward to these every Sunday.
Mhm.
So
Do you think how many Pokemon do you think Go is going to catch by the end of the series? Is the question.
uh,
Be-
273.
I mean, at
No,
at the
274.
rate
So I can make a K and D
at the
reference.
rate they at the rate they go, you know, he. I don't. They're not gonna have him catch all the legendaries. There's no way. I don't think they have him do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he might catch all of them except for the legendaries. That's my guess. I think he'll get there.
Do you think he'll catch duplicates of the Pokemon that Ash already
That's
has?
an interesting question. Is he gonna catch a Pikachu? Right? Like,
Yeah, like is he gonna? That's my thing. Is like, will he catch? Will he get a Gengar and a Dragonite and a Riolu? You know, that's another thing.
and what is he counting? I mean, now he
Yeah.
doesn't have any more Wurmples. Like, does he
Yeah.
need to have each one of them, or just have them all evolved so that he can get the Pokedex entries? Interesting questions.
Mhm.
Interesting questions. Oh yeah, Chloe's a character.
Right.
What is up with her?
Chloe
Is
is
she,
a
though?
character that only did she only show up in one episode this time? Was it just one or was there multiple?
No,
Because I only remember one
she
episode.
very briefly showed up. I think in a few. Like, I think she might have been there for the egg discussion. Like, I don't know what is up with that character. She's in the she's in the opening, and it kind of seems like she's an important character, but thus far she really hasn't done. She had one episode about the
Mhm.
Yamper, right? That was her one big thing in part 1 that she.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
in
that's
episode 35, Go looks for a Pikachu to catch. Nice.
Oh,
Nice,
okay.
nice.
Well, question answered.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think we have anything to announce because we aren't entirely set on something, but we will keep you updated on Twitter to let you know when we figured out the discussion. And you can always look for the premiere announcement on Pie's channel here as well.
Yep.
So.
And we've got some ideas. Just so
Mhm.
you guys know, this video will be unlisted after the stream, so you'll be able to see it with the link. Also, if you go on my channel, there's a playlist for stream sodas. It's not public. The stream sodas themselves are not public, so you won't see them if you look at like a list of my videos. But if you go to that playlist, or you ever come back to this link, you will be able to see this. So,
Yep.
all right, Pie Guy rules out.
See ya.